All right, let's keep this going here. So now we're talking about relevance. How long are these products going to hold up? If I invest my hard-earned money, what's the ROI? What's the return on investment? How long can I use these? Okay, well, there's two things to consider. Number one of the main selling points of Arturia is that they model the classics. And so that's a part of what they do. Native Instruments, on the other hand, is a kind of all-in-one, all-inclusive package. So there are things that you could find in Arturia that you can't find in Native Instruments and vice versa. So we're going to listen to the instruments in one of the later videos, but let's talk about some simple things first. Both of these companies have been around for a long time. They're both here to stay. So in terms of the long game, I think we're covered. We don't have to think about that. Both of these companies are on the cutting edge. And so let's move on to the next point. Both of these plugins have resizable GUIs. We're going to be using the mainframe Komplete control for Native Instruments and Analog Labs for Arturia. So if we start here and we hold Command and we click on 1, 2, or 3, this is how we resize. You can also, I believe, click here and resize to some extent, but it's not as fluid. The GUI for Analog Labs is more or less the same. There are key commands associated. You can also drag from the bottom right. And I believe if you go here into resize window, we have this menu option available. Both of these are MIDI mappable. I'm going to choose an organ. I open up the B3 right here. And once I do that, we get the layout. And as soon as I go over to MIDI here and I click on the Learn button, you see that the interface kind of opens up. And I'm going to go ahead and map vibrato to one of the knobs that I have here on my MIDI controller. So as soon as I turn that, you see that everything's working as it should. And so that was a really easy process. Going to Komplete control in terms of MIDI mapping, it did take me a minute to sort out. And from what I remember here, we click on that button right there. All right, and so we're kind of in this macro page, which I like. I think it's a neat layout. Certainly easier to see in Arturia. But let's say we wanted to MIDI map the kick, for example. Well, I would click on it. Then you click on the key command M. That takes you to a separate window, which I thought was a little off-putting as well. And then as soon as I turn my rotary knob, now that is going to be controlling. Again, click on M. So let's say I'm trying to control the overheads. I click on it, then I click on M, and then I turn that dial and kind of works. Anyway, I'm still kind of getting to know the MIDI mapping, and I was hoping we would see some kind of relationship here, but it doesn't really look like it. So if anybody can get clear on that, please let me know. But it should be simple. The idea is that a beginner can sit down and start to learn these things right away, start to pick up these things right away. All right, let's see where these two differ. If I want to, let's say, pull up a drum kit, for whatever reason, I also want to play a bass. It's a little challenging with this specific instrument because you simply can't do it. So I've got my drum set, you can see that there. If I want to add something else to the mix, it doesn't quite work that way. So if I click on this extra space, it only allows me to add effects. That is kind of good, I guess. But what if you're somebody that really wants to go deeper into your world, into sound, into synthesis? Then now I can include this sound, and perhaps maybe I want to, let's say, layer it with another sound. I can drag an instrument here, and now we're using both of these. And to edit that preset, we would click there. There's a lot more stuff under the hood. For example, if I wanted to save this as my own personal preset, I can do that. Left-hand side here, let me go ahead and just test this out. So let's imagine that I do all the metadata here, yada, yada. I'll just call this test. And so when I save this, I can find it at any point just by going to that saved preset file. I don't really see anything like that here. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody can comment. Maybe somebody can, throw out some ideas. Look, Native Instruments is certainly the Goliath in the world of music production, plugins, but there are a lot of very cool things that you could do in Analog Labs that you simply can't do in complete control. I think it's more performance oriented too. I think it's fair to say that in addition to the multi presets, you have a playlist mode over here on the left hand side. So if you're somebody that's thinking about performing on stage, online, whatever, you can go on stage and have songs built out ready to go. So let's say this is one of my songs here. If I go on stage, the interface is going to change a little bit, and then now I can switch between presets. So I can go from this preset to that preset, all with the click of a button. So anyway, lots of cool stuff here. The relevance factor is something that needs to be considered. The truth is I would like to see more software instruments that are easy to learn. The barrier to entry sometimes is really what holds people back from making serious progress. Now, of course, this is just a conversation that we're having. It's just a fun way to kind of look at our decisions, our choices, and if you could go back, would you change your mind? So anyway, hit me up with comments. Let me know what you think about that. But yeah, relevance. Classics are here to stay. A lot of these instruments were invented years and years and years ago, so they're certainly not going anywhere. But if you're looking for that modern sound, there may be an advantage to having native instruments. So let me go back, for example. Let's say we were going to switch up the game here, and we were going to choose, let's say, Cloud Supply. I think this kind of has a trap kind of modern vibe to it. Let me turn on the volume of... Okay, so let's check out these presets. Will that be relevant in 5 years? Will those kinds of sounds be relevant? I don't know, right? We really don't know the answer to that question, but I could tell you with full certainty that these classics will be around forever and ever, because they haven't gone away by now. It's been, in some cases, 30, 40, 50 years, then they're certainly not going to go anywhere. So there's that to think about. Lots of great stuff with both of these instruments, but you have to make your decision about what is right for you. Go ahead and check out each instrument, every library, every expansion that they both offer, and I think that will help you make a sound decision.